Brooklyn, baby. But Queens get the money. Queens get the money. New York. No Diddy.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Lil Rod claims some of the biggest names in the recording industry sponsored these parties, with workers.
50 Cent is really going all out to stir things up with it's like he's leading this charge against the bad boy mogul, and the internet can't get enough of it. 50 is out here spilling tea that nobody even knew was brewing. Case in point, there's this supposed text message exchange floating around, and 50 is hinting that he's about to drop it like it's hot for everyone to see whether he's just messing around or dead serious. People are totally hooked. In one of his recent Instagram posts, 50 threw shade at Diddy with a video captioned, "Yo, this is fun to me. I had to share this. It made me laugh." The clip allegedly shows Diddy sliding into 50's DMs, starting off with a cringy "Hello Daddy" followed by a late night invite for a drink. But when 50 points out the ungodly hour, Diddy persists with the invitation, only to get dissed for his association with Sarah O, the vodka brand he's been repping forever. Then it gets even juicier. Diddy promises a shopping spree the next day, trying to lure the person over. But they ain't having it. They're all like, "I'm good with my own cash." And just when Diddy's desperate enough to throw in a music video offer, the reply is savage. "LOL, last time you had a hit, I was in high school, I'm good." And to top it off, they send over a meme of 50 Cent from Entourage speeding away in his car and laughing his head off. Anyway, trolling or not, some are still getting a good laugh out of it, while others are starting to feel like the joke's getting a bit old and tired. But even if people are rolling their eyes, they'd still take 50's jabs over straight-up fake news any day. Speaking of which, 50 recently stirred up quite the controversy with a social media post that had folks questioning if he was crossing the line. He shared this news report, claiming Diddy was supposedly in a sex relationship with actor Reginald V. Johnson. Yeah, you heard that right. Apparently, some comedians spilled the beans on a pod, alleging he saw some wild stuff go down at one of Puffy's parties. But despite 50 Cent keeping up his trolling spree on Diddy, which doesn't seem like he's going to let up anytime soon, even if Diddy ends up in the slammer, 50 is probably still going to keep the jokes rolling. There's this video making the rounds that's seriously grossing people out. Apparently, there's a pretty scandalous footage from Diddy's security cameras. According to court documents filed by Rodney Lil Rod Jones, a former employee of Diddy, it's claimed that Diddy had been secretly recording his guests at his properties in Los Angeles and Star Island. And we're not just talking about your average party snapshots. Apparently, these cameras caught some seriously compromising moments involving celebs, athletes, politicians, you name it. Jones claimed in the suit that these parties were sponsored by major players in the recording industry, giving them access to sex and underage girls, the civil complaint asserted.
I'm just hearing like, like, I'm like, oh, somebody wearing this out on Crip. So I go busting the door. I look up, I see Carl's window. I'm like, oh, 6 like this.
Mr. Combs had hidden cameras in every room of his home, has recordings of several celebrities, artists, music label executives, and athletes engaging in illegal activity. Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person who has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. The producer further alleges that Did has salacious tapes of Hollywood's biggest names, record CEOs, and politicians doing and cavorting with, and as far as he knew, the parties were a business model that gave upcoming artists a chance to climb up the career ladder by giving them access to music executives. Jones also shared that beyond sponsoring these parties, music executives had the habit of handing the Bad Boy Records founder large wads of cash. Even his ex-bodyguard Gene Deal spilled the beans, saying it's not just celebs, there are politicians, preachers, you name it all, potentially on Diddy's blackmail list.
Lil Rod claims some of the biggest names in the recording industry sponsored these parties. Workers and underage.
And then there's this bizarre video circulating around a gang featuring a guy who allegedly fired shots at one of Donald Trump's Florida properties a while back. In his interviews with law enforcement, he made some pretty wild accusations, claiming he was a sex slave for none other than Sean Diddy Combs. Now, with federal investigators raiding Diddy's homes, and the possibility of an arrest or indictment looming over him for alleged involvement in a sex FK operation, those seemingly outlandish claims don't sound so far-fetched anymore.
I don't think it's only celebrities going to be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes.
Now you can bet there's a lot of scrambling happening in Hollywood right now. A word is the feds already got their hands on those incriminating videos, so it's only a matter of time before more names start popping up. And we've already seen a few sneak peeks with the names that spilled out since Cassie's lawsuit hit the scene. Take Jay-Z for example. Even though he hasn't been mentioned in any lawsuit or scandal, there's this vibe in the air like he might be next in line for someone wanted attention after Diddy.
I was like a slave, okay? For them, that's what I was. That's all.
Whatever you call it, so
Yeah, he's part of what's called the Boulay. The Boulay is a branch of the Illuminati, okay? And he belongs to that agenda. That's why he's so famous in that one.
Word on the street is that Jay-Z's been sweating bullets ever since the Fed started poking around Diddy's business. Apparently, they've been tight buds for ages, and they haven't exactly kept their friendship under wraps. But according to those in the know, their bond runs deeper than just being music industry big shots. Allegedly, they've been connecting over some seriously shady stuff, particularly involving violence against women. It's a dark side of their friendship that's been lurking in the shadows for years, and they've somehow managed to dodge any real consequences. Or at least that's what everyone thought. See, as it turns out, the feds have been looking at them for long, and they have been looking at them hard for a very long time. If there's one thing about the feds, they never make their moves until they've got their facts right. And they have managed to build an airtight case against their suspects. With no wriggle room, it often takes months or years for the feds to build their case. But once they arrest someone and bring charges against them, then it's over. They have a conviction rate of more than 95%. And that should tell you all that the feds don't play when they make a move on a suspect. And in Diddy's case, the feds have been looking at him for at least 11 years now. Because back in 2013, we found out they've been questioning people about Diddy's alleged interest in young boys. A court document from a case in 2013 noted that during a debriefing session with federal investigators, James Roseman, the music manager was reportedly questioned about the sex preferences of entertainers, including whether Sean Diddy Combs was having sex relationships with underage boys. According to a U.S. district court filing, a prosecutor then asked about entertainers' ex preferences, including, but not only Sean Combs having sex relationships with underage boys. So if they have been looking at Diddy for that long, then best believe they've been looking at Jay-Z for that long as well. And it did not just start with because of Cassie's lawsuit. Interestingly, the knowledge of Jay-Z going down with Diddy is not just fan speculations, because people with reliable intel have claimed there is allegedly also an open investigation of Jay-Z by the feds. And as you all have probably heard, Diddy got busted by Homeland Security a couple weeks ago, which tells us that investigation into Diddy is at its peak, and supposedly so is Jay-Z. And you just know 50 couldn't resist adding his 2 cents. After all, he feels the same way about the two of them. After Diddy's homes were raided by Homeland Security, 50 hopped on social media and asked where Jay has been. In one post, 50 shared an image of Jay's face on the side of a milk carton with missing written above the photo, and another picture of the Brooklyn rap legend on a red carpet waving at the cameras. Anybody seen Jay? LOL. Puff said the man ain't answering his phone. LOL. 50 wrote in the first post. In the second, 50 said, here is Jay-Z last reported seen waving at Puffy Jet. LOL. In Lil Rod's lawsuit, he also exposed Meek Mill and Usher as one of the people that often came to these freak-offs. Rodney didn't explicitly mention Meek Mill and Usher's names in the lawsuit like he did with everybody else.